Has your drive around town gotten bumpier? Are you dodging those dreaded potholes? The road departments are already working on filling in the cracks and holes in our streets. And joining me right now is Matt Hughes. He is the Public Information Officer for the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to talk a little bit about this. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. This is something that everybody just hates this time of year, especially. Now, I've certainly noticed an increase in potholes on the road, and it seems like they appear overnight. Why are they showing up now? How do they form?
Well, you know, if you've ever put a bottle of water in the freezer at home, you know that bottle of water expands, it gets bigger, and unfortunately, if it gets big enough, it'll bust. And with potholes, it's kind of the same way. When you have snow and ice starts to melt, it seeps down into the asphalt. And then when it refreezes, especially when you have the low temperatures like we have the last couple of days, it kind of expands underneath the asphalt. And when it melts, finally, that leaves a hole. And of course, when cars drive over that void that's under the asphalt, it just starts kind of caving in. And that's where you get the potholes from.
And that's why we're seeing so many right now, because we've obviously had the cold weather and the wet weather as well. What advice do you have for drivers when they come across potholes?
Best thing to do is always keep your eyes on the road. Definitely don't text and drive, but you need to make sure you see where you're going. And so if there's a pothole coming up, you want to see it so you can slow down, avoid it if possible, go through it as slowly as possible if you know you're going to hit it. But just watch where you're going.
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing to do when it comes to those.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the road departments around the tri-state have a program where folks can report potholes. Do you have that, and how do folks go about doing that?
The best way to report it is to call the KYTC County Maintenance Garage in your county. That's going to be a different number for each county, but that county will be able to get to it the fastest because they're close to it. You can also go on the KYTC state website, and there is a report a pothole link where you can send in an email and let us know that way as well.
You know, we're watching some video now of cars going over these potholes, and some of them are just flying over them. Can potholes do some damage to your car?
It is possible, especially if one is big enough and you hit it at just the right speed and the right angle, you can do some damage that way.
Yeah. How do you guys fix the situation? How do you fill them and repair the roads?
Well, unfortunately, pothole season is in the middle of winter. If it was summertime or spring when the asphalt plants are open making asphalt, we would just go out and repave that section. This time of year in the winter, the asphalt companies are shut down. So we have what's called cold patch, which is basically asphalt, but it's not superheated the way that it is when you pave. We have a piece of equipment called a hot box that heats it up just a little bit, but you basically pour the cold mix in the hole and then stamp it down with equipment to make it as even and flat as possible. And you know, that's the best you can do this time of year.
So is that like a temporary fix then to get over the cold weather, and then when it's warmer and you're able to get the asphalt, do you go back over those, or do they need that?
It really depends on how well it holds up.
Yeah.
Ideally, it will last. If not, we'll have to go back when it warms up a little bit and fix it.
Okay, I'm sure it's a year-round thing when you've got all the roads that you all deal with. But I tell you what, before we go, I do want to ask you something about all the flooding we've seen lately. They've really affected a lot of the roadways around our area. Can you give us an update on how you all are responding to this and advice for drivers out there when we're dealing with so many flooded roads?
You know, at one time we had over 100 roads that were either blocked by flooding or they were close to it. And it was changing, it seemed, by the minute, because the more it rained, you know, the water would move from one area to the next and a road would reopen while another one closed. We're really just monitoring it, keeping the signs up. When they reopen, we take them down. And in some cases, you take the sign down, put the sign back up because it refloods. But it's just keeping us moving. And now with the Ohio River and the Green River levels, we're seeing more flooding in those river counties now than we were earlier. So that's just being out and maintaining a watch on the roads, making sure where they're at.
Yeah.
And just pay attention to our Facebook page. We keep a list updated of all 11 counties in District 2, just about hourly at times as they change.
Yeah.
And that'll keep you kind of on top of it.
We really appreciate your response to all of this because, you know, it is a very dangerous situation. We've seen some folks lose their lives and, you know, we cannot say it enough. I know folks kind of think it's a trite saying, but turn around, don't drown. It is not worth driving through this roadway. I know you know that for sure. But Matt Hughes with KYTC, thank you so much for joining us today and filling us in on potholes and the flooding situation. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here.